Hello, everybody. Nice to see you here. We're just going to wait for a few more minutes so that some more people can join us because, well, you know what it's like at lunchtime when you're trying to get from one place to another. So we'll just hold off for a few minutes, but we should get going by about 5 past. But if you want to talk to us in the meantime, please feel free. Oh, you've already turned on the recording, Candice. I didn't notice that.
Jumping ahead, I think.
It's jumping ahead.
How is everyone today? Are we good?
Good morning.
Hello. Suppose it's good afternoon.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock.
Friday afternoon, I'm sorry. Good afternoon.
These days.
Please, I'm coming up.
Hours roll into one.
Camera. Okay. Yeah.
Here we go.
Good afternoon.
Hello. So I thought your picture was you, but frozen, but it was not. It was a cover picture.
Yes, it was a cover picture. Good morning.
Well, that was very clever.
It was.
All right. Okay. So this is an information section on the RGU Accelerator Startup and Program.
It absolutely is. And we'll be getting started with the presentation in just a few minutes, but we're waiting for a few more people to join us.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully they will arrive in the next few minutes and we can get started.
All right. Thank you.
I can see we've got Freedom with us. I met Freedom, I think it was yesterday. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Candice.
Hello.
Yeah, sure, yesterday.
Thanks for joining us today, Freedom.
Yeah, sure. My pleasure.
Brilliant. Okay. Just wait a couple more moments. I think from previous sessions, we've had people kind of feeding in as the session goes on. So there will be probably have a number more than we have at the start by the end.
So I will start at 5 past and we'll just get going. So I know that other people play music at the beginning and I'm really bad at doing that.
No, you should have said I would have done that for you. Although my playlist might not be to everyone's taste, that's the only thing.
You know what? I think I am just going to get on and share the presentation.
There we go. Okay, no worries. I will let people in as time goes on.
Because once I've put it up on the screen, I find it really, you can't see what's going on. Yet again, I'm having difficulty actually seeing my options here. I can move that menu. I did not know that. I can move the Zoom menu out of the way because it was stopping me getting to the slideshow. Come on. There we go. That's better.
On the call know that we are recording this session, so if there's anything you want to listen back to again, we can provide you with a recording of the session. There was also another session held, I think it was last week, and it was a similar session for the accelerator, so we can also share that as well, just depending on what becomes available as soon as possible. So just to let you know. Okay, so we are going to speak about RGU Startup Accelerator for 2023. So this is what we're going to cover in the session. We're going to have a quick overview and benefits about the program. I'm assuming you probably know quite a bit about it already because you've turned up for the information session, but we'll just do a quick recap. Then we're going to have a look at eligibility and are you able to apply for the program? And then I think the majority of the session will be about what makes a good application. Just a bit at the end about the application process and how to apply, and then a chance at the end to ask questions. But if you have any questions as we're going through,
if you could put them in the chat, then we might be able to cover things as they crop up. So as I said, we're going to do a quick overview. And when I got this presentation, this was a count up. Because we're in the 5th year, we've picked 5 benefits of the programme that we're going to feature in this quick overview. And it was a count up. I've decided to reverse the order and do a countdown. So I was thinking it's a bit like, you know, the 12 days of Christmas. I love the bit from the 5 gold rings downwards. So it's a bit like that. So at the end of the programme, there is a massive showcase event where everybody gets to showcase their business and their idea to an invited set of people who are the audience for the evening. There are a number of mentors that we will be able to introduce you to. We've got a lot of contacts in local sectors. And really importantly, there's 5 months worth of training in the programme. And there's a great space at One Tech Hub in the city centre where we have a couple of rooms on the top floor that you can have access to both during the programme and after the programme for a while. And importantly, I think for people who need some money to start off their idea, there will be some funding from the beginning. There'll be £2,000 and we don't take any stake in your company and it's not a loan. So you have that money to invest in your business. And it says from, because there are opportunities to gain more funding, which I'll talk about in a minute. So just 3 of these highlights I wanted to go through in a bit more detail. As I said, there's a startup showcase at the end of the programme. So that's in May. Everybody will be asked to showcase their businesses and their ideas in that showcase event. But before the showcase event, there's actually a semi-final process to decide who's able to pitch on the evening for some additional funds. So there's an opportunity to win some more funding at that event. As I said, there are mentors and all teams will have a mentor during the programme. And if you need additional support, that mentor will be able to tap into our mentor pool to pull in the specialist help that you might need. And as I said, Startup Station is available to those participating in the programme and for a period afterwards as well. So a quick overview of the programme and importantly, the dates of the programme. So we're in that very first phase at the moment, the application phase, which runs until Sunday, the 11th of December. The boot camp, which is really important, is on the 14th of January in 2023. And that is a start of the training, but it's also part of the judging process. And I'll come back to that in a little while. Then the programme starts properly with the first phase, and each of these phases will follow a similar pattern. There'll be a Monday evening session, which is online, a Wednesday evening session, also online, and then an in-person session at, actually I was just about to say it was at the One Tech Hub, but I think it's at the Startup Station on RGU campus on the Saturday. So that first phase starts on Monday the 23rd and has its full day session on Saturday the 28th. And then the feasibility phase, I actually can't see the dates because, can you see the dates? Is my, everybody's faces are over the dates, so I can't see them.
Yeah, so is it for feasibility? So we've got 13th of February, Wednesday the 15th of February and Saturday the 18th of February. And then the next 2 phases follow a similar pattern: Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 6th of March, 8th of March, 11th of March. Viability, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 27th of March, 29th of March, and the 1st of April. And then we go into the final phase of the programme with a semi-final pitching competition, which will identify the people who will be pitching for further funds in the final. And then the Startup Showcase final is on Thursday, the 11th of May in the evening. Although everybody who's showcasing at the event will probably want to be there earlier in the day to get set up.
Sorry, I'm having problems with my mouse. There we go. So the next phase of our presentation today is, are you eligible? So 3 key things to bear in mind. This is open to RGU students and alumni within 5 years of graduation. The company, business, the idea that you're setting up must be set up and operated, preferably in Scotland, but certainly in the UK. And we're open to ambitious, innovative, scalable early stage businesses. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about those things on the next slide. But those are the 3 key things to bear in mind. So we're asking teams to apply. We can take solo entrepreneurs, but we do like to have teams applying. And in order for a team to qualify, the lead applicant, who must be a founder of the business, is the one that needs to be either an RGU student or alumni within 5 years. So the other people in the team can also be those things. They can be RGU students or alumni, or they can be people who are not in that category. The business, as I said, must operate, or you must intend to operate it within either Scotland or the UK more widely. And it needs to be at an early stage. So it can be at a really early stage. This could just be at the idea stage. You may not have registered a company or a sole trader or any of those things. So that would be a good place to come in. But if you've already got registered, then you cannot have taken in either more than £100,000 of investment or revenue. So if you have gone beyond those milestones, we wouldn't consider you to be an early stage company. And one, at least, of your founders, the intention must be that you should be working full-time within the business 12 months after the program. So before I move on, are there any immediate questions about the eligibility criteria? Anybody got any questions about those?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hi.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
So I heard you said it is only for the student who graduated from RGU. So is it very restrictive? I'm an Aberdeen student, Aberdeen University student. So it's a big no, or is there any room for student graduating from University of Aberdeen?
Only if you're able to find an RGU student or RGU alumni as a team.
Okay. Yeah, I have one. Yes, I have one. Yes.
Okay, so if you're in that position that there is somebody else who meets the criteria, then they would need to be the lead applicant and you can be part of their team.
Okay. Okay. So I can't be the lead one.
You wouldn't be able to be the lead. The person from RGU would need to be the lead applicant.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello? Did you have a question?
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so I was going to ask. So on the website, it was stated as part of the criteria that it has to be, so I'm trying to read it out from the website. Okay, yeah. The business must intend to operate or create impact in the northeast of Scotland. So, but you mentioned that it doesn't okay, that you mentioned that the business has to be situated either in Scotland or anywhere in the UK. So I'm just trying to reconfirm.
So it is it's Scotland or the UK. I think that wording may have somehow come through from the accelerator program that we ran last year, which was specifically for the Northeast. But this year it's whole of Scotland, whole of UK.
Okay, that's one. Then the second one, you mentioned something about that the founders need to be in the UK. Even though, okay, let me just use my context. I'm the lead founder, right? I'm a student of RGU Masters IT with Business Intelligence. I'm currently a student in RGU, but my founders are not in the country. Does it still suffice?
Where are you planning to run the business and register the business?
Yeah, Scotland, yeah, definitely.
as long as you're running the business in Scotland and it's registered in Scotland, and that's where the impact is happening, and
Yeah.
you are meeting that criteria as the lead applicant, that you're a student or alumni, then you're fine.
Okay, that's okay, no problem. Thank you.
May I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
So I don't have a team because it's very early, exactly stage of inception or just idea stage.
Okay.
So that's not, wouldn't be a problem that
it is a problem. It's not a problem. We have definitely taken solo entrepreneurs in the past, but you might be wanting to think about how you're going to, if you've identified skills and experience that you need and you don't have them, how are you going to be addressing those gaps in the future? And when we come on to talk about how to make a good application, we'll maybe go into this a bit more again. But you might want to write something about your plans for recruiting other founders or employees or people that you're going to work with. You know, how are you going to fill those gaps? So don't just ignore it when it comes to the application. Any other questions?
Yes, good afternoon. Sorry, yes, please. I actually want to ask. So you already talked about the part of, okay, me being the main applicants, and if my co-founders are presently not here, as far as I'm going to be starting up a company in Scotland or anywhere in the United Kingdom, that's fine. Then the second question I actually wanted to ask was, now that it's still like at the starting point, if I start, like I just actually apply as the main applicant without putting the others, can I still later bring them in? Like the last question that was asked, as in starting firstly, then with time I can bring them in as my partners. Is that okay?
Sorry, just for my clarity, you're asking if you can bring other founders in later?
Yes, like
yes,
to support.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Because this is what often happens with businesses. They realize that they need to grow the team. So we are not saying that you can't bring other people in as you go along, but we're interested to know what skills you have in the team and how you're going to address any gaps, so that we know that you're thinking about that sort of thing. All right, thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'm going to go on to the next slide. Okay, so what makes a good application? So I don't know if you've had a look at the application form yet. When you do get to it, what you will find is, I think I counted this up, there are actually 31 boxes to fill in. So what I'm going to cover in terms of what makes a good application are the ones that I've sort of highlighted in bold, these 4 areas: the problem, the idea, the business, and the team, because those are really the heavy text questions that we want you to complete. I've not included the summary because what I'm assuming you will do is write the other sections first and then take the summary from that. So there are a couple of items there to fill in. And then the bit at the end, the 3 sections at the end, those are really just factual pieces of information that you're going to need. Your information, business information, those are just facts that you'll need to complete, like email addresses and dates of birth and things like that. So I'm not going to cover those. So I'm just going to cover these 4 areas that I've highlighted here with 11 questions. So first section that we're going to have a look at is about the problem. So the questions that you'll see on the form are, what is the specific problem you are trying to solve? And what is the scale of the challenge? And then the second question, who does the problem affect? So what we're looking for as judges, and I think we're going to be emailing out these slides afterwards, aren't we, Candace, if people want them? Yeah. So just make sure at the end that if you didn't register properly for the session, that we have your email address so that we can send them out to you. So what are the judges looking for? We want to see that you are clearly explaining the problem from the point of view of the customer. And when we say problem, things that people find difficult to achieve, we want to understand that you know that there are people out there with a problem that you can solve. And this is the sort of basis of a business. So the other thing we want to see is evidence of the impact that the solution that you're going to provide will have on the customers. How much better will it make their lives? How much easier will it make it? Will it help them financially, physically? What sort of solution is it providing for them? What are you achieving with the impact of this? And have you got a real and significant problem that it's realistic for you to solve and that there's a big demand for? We want to understand, are there a lot of people with this problem? Or is it just a couple of your friends that have got this problem and nobody else has really got it? So you need to be looking at information beyond your circle of friends to see what's out there in the world to understand, is it a significant problem? Because if you remember back to the criteria, what we're looking for is scalable ideas. And there are some top tips here on the right-hand side, which I can't really see because of the boxes. Daisy, can you help me out?
Of course. So one of the biggest things that we would encourage people to do is speak to your customers, your potential customers. If you don't know who they are already, doing a bit of research can help you in this particular area. And what we really want you to do is think about the problems that they are trying to solve. So we're not thinking about selling the idea that we have at this point. We're really trying to understand what problems our customers are facing. And one of the reasons that we do this is because we want you to start thinking of ways in which those problems can be solved. And it might not always be the idea that you have currently. So there might be some room for your idea to adapt and change. But look, often when you have those conversations, that's when you can start to think about creating prototype, and start to think about what your idea could potentially look like. But having that evidence will go a long way when it comes to your application, because it shows to us and to also all of those that are judging the accelerator applications that you really are wanting to solve that problem and you really have done your due diligence essentially in that market that you're trying to reach.
Thank you very much. And here are some little cartoons that we like to put up to help you think about where you might find painful problems. There are lots of different ideas here about that. One of my favorite ways of finding problems is to start a bug list and maybe get some of your friends to start a bug list. And when I say a bug list, what I'm talking about is things that bug you. Things that you would like your life to be better if it didn't have to deal with these bugs. So another sort of set of areas where these ideas could come from. You might notice that there's a gap in the market, so an opportunity that you could fill. It could be that you're really passionate about a particular problem and you've got lots of great ideas about how to solve it. So passion can be a place that your business could come from. You might be really curious about something and constantly trying to find out how something works. And by doing it, you may say that this could be so much better if sentences like that, when they crop up for you, this could be so much better if, that's often leading you to creating a solution that's better than the one that's available at the moment. Research is another way of finding areas where you could create a solution that solved a problem for people. And maybe desperation is the one that taps into my bug list. If you can't find a way to achieve something, and you really think there's no way out there for you to achieve the thing that you want to do, then maybe you need to get your hands dirty and actually come up with solving the problem. So moving on to the next section about the idea that you've had. And this is, when we say idea, we're thinking about how is it you're going to solve the problem you've identified. So the application questions up there at the top, the two of them, how does your business idea solve the problem? and what makes your business innovative and stand out in the market. So what is it that the judges are really trying to find out from you here? So we want to understand the idea clearly. Have you made it easy to understand? And does it actually solve the problem? And have you got a gap in the market that you have identified? Have you really done some research and made sure that there are no other people solving it in exactly the same way that you're planning to solve it? And one of my roles through the years that we've been doing this is to do some quick Google searches on ideas to see how many other people I can find doing the exact same thing. So why is your idea different from what other people are doing? And it may be subtle, but what is it that makes what you're doing or what you're suggesting different?
Just to add to that, Sally, just that top tip as well, that we appreciate, the judges especially appreciate that there's going to be some potentially complex information in some of your ideas, because they might be quite technical and they might have a lot of words and jargon that are used to describe what the idea might be. So our tip would be that the judges will not necessarily have your background or the understanding to that full degree that you might think. So it's important that you try and avoid any jargon or over technical words, and try and explain your idea in the most simple way possible, if that's at all possible.
And actually, it's an important learning for the program, because when it comes to promoting your idea, you need to be able to explain it to your customers in simple terms so that they understand that you are solving the problem for them. So this cartoon is an example of how not to do things, I think. Don't confuse everybody. So we'd like you to do some research about the market that's out there. So as I said, somebody in the team will be having a look at the market that you're talking about and checking what other solutions there are out there to solve the problem that you've identified. So, you know, if we can find it quickly, then you should have been able to find it quickly too. So do your research around what else is out there. And when you speak to people, make sure that you're speaking to the right people. Make sure that you're actually speaking to the people who've got the problem. As you can see from this cartoon, it's very easy to just speak to yourself about the idea or speak to friends, but actually get out there and speak to some real people who've got the problem. So the third section of the application is about the business. So the application questions that you'll see are, how will your business generate income? Now, you have maybe not thought about that, but you're going to need to have a think about it for the application form. How will your business create positive impact in the wider environment, social, cultural, environmental? So we'd like you to dig a bit deeper, not just how you're going to make money, but what other impacts are you going to have with your business? And actually, you may find this easier. You may find this the other way around, because if you have been solving a problem that people have, and maybe that is a health problem or an environmental problem, then you can talk about the impacts that you're going to have in those areas. But then you're going to have to think about, well, how are you actually going to make money? Because you need to think about how people are going to pay for this, rather than just giving them a solution that makes their lives better. How are you actually going to, that terrible word, how are you going to monetize it? And also the different methods. Is it going to be a subscription? Is it going to pay as you go? You know, what sort of interaction are people going to have with paying for this? So thinking about your income streams. And what we are looking for here is, have you actually thought about how your idea is going to make money? And thinking about how your business is going to operate, have you thought about that? And also obviously thinking about the other impacts that your business has on society and the environment and the economy. And Candace, if you could help me out with the top tip.
Yeah, and this is a big one. We want it to be an idea that's a bit different from obviously the ones that are out there. So you want it to be something that's going to really challenge what is around, and something that can be new and bring something new to the table. So thinking about that, you know, is your idea different from what's there? What effect will it have in the future? What impact could it have on future? Is it an ambitious idea, and can it grow? And these are huge ones that you need to consider, because we're looking for ideas that are going to obviously have that propensity to move through time and potentially bring something quite interesting to the near future as well. So definitely think about your idea, especially in comparison to your competition, and what else might actually be out there.
Thank you. So these are titles that you've already seen in the program. These are areas that we look at as we go through the program, and you might want to have a think about the desirability of your product, the solution that you've created to the problem, the feasibility, can you actually make it happen, and then the viability, is it going to pay? So if you think about the questions we've been having a look at, these are covering all these areas. And once you get onto the program, if you're successful, we will help you have a look at these ideas under these headings in a bit more detail and develop the ideas further. So I think this is the last of the 4 sections. This is about the team. So the questions on the application form are, tell us about the team, what value and experience they bring. What progress have you made so far with your idea, and what is your ambition for the future? And why do you want to join the RGU Start Up Accelerator program? And if you could give us 3 reasons that you want to join. So we're looking to see if you've actually thought about the structure of the team, the skills that you need. We'll have had some information about how the business runs up from the questions that you've answered before. And we'll be looking to see if the skill sets that are in the team match with what you're going to need to actually get this idea up and running. And we also want to know that people are passionate about it, that they have got the motivation to actually see this through, because it can be tough getting an idea up and running and starting a business. So how passionate is the team about doing this? And where does that passion come from? And I can't actually read the bottom one. Hang on, where are we? Oh yes, we are interested in understanding if you are open to the support that we want to give you. And that's what that last section is about. So Candace, if you could help me with the top tips.
Absolutely. So again, we've mentioned about the importance of a team, and the reason that we encourage this is because if you start up any business, and in particular one that's going to be probably quite a big idea with a lot of moving parts to it, it's really important to have a team that are going to support each other and yourself within that, and take on different roles. Now, we appreciate that there are some people that might apply just as a solo entrepreneur, which is also okay, but it's really good to include how you will cover the different elements needed for that particular idea, just so that we're aware. And you can also identify, you know, any gaps, and be thinking about where you need to get more information, where you might need more learning in certain areas, just to show us as well how passionate you are about that particular project.
Thank you. So next we're going to have a look at the application process. So if you've got your phones ready, you could just zap that code, and that will take you straight to the application form. Or if you go to the RGU website and go to, go to the innovation section of the RGU website, you'll find a page all about the Startup Accelerator, and at the bottom of that page, you'll find a button to start your application. Or if you just search for RGU Accelerator Program or Startup Accelerator Program, I tried that this morning and that works. It took me straight to where I needed to be. And just to walk you through. So once you click that button, it will take you from that RGU Accelerator page across to a platform that is called F6S. So when you get to F6S, it will ask you to create an account, and you need to go through that process and then select a team name, and the rest of your team members also need to go onto the site and create accounts for themselves so that you can tie their accounts to the application. And it's got a piece about creating your profile there as well. So then the next step is to go onto the application form and run through all the questions, which are, as I've been going through today. And as I said, you'll find 31 boxes to complete there. And then once you've done that, you can go in and out and go back to it if you use those buttons. And once you're ready and you've got it completely finished off, then it's really important that you click that submit button, because until you've submitted it, we can't accept it as an application to the program. And there's a little box there to ask you to connect with the team. That's Chris and Candace and Aisha and Sally, that's me, and Graham. And you can connect with us on, I think, F6S. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us in all sorts of different ways, but we're the team that'll be taking you through the program. And here's a top tip that this is how I would go about doing this. I would get those questions and I would put them on Word, and I would put my answers to them on Word so that you've got it all worked out before you get to the form, and then copy across from your Word document into the form. We have had in the past a couple of people who've had computers crash on them and they were typing live into the form and they lost all of their work. And we don't want that to happen to you. It's really soul destroying if you've put a lot of effort into something. So I would personally do it this way so that you've got all your answers ready before you start filling in the form. And also, if you remember at the beginning, I said there's a summary piece. Well, if you've worked on all of these sections, you'll also be able to work up your summary for the initial question. So good luck on completing that, and we look forward to receiving your application. There are a couple of more bits and pieces that we want to run through. So the deadline is Sunday, the 11th of December 2022, just before midnight. And we will be cutting the application process off at midnight that night. And we'll be in a hurry to do that because we've got some processes to go through after we receive your applications. The team will be sifting through all of them to make sure that everybody is eligible, to make sure that the application is fully completed, and to make sure that RGU are happy to accept the application. So instances where we would not accept the application is, apart from it being ineligible or incomplete, if the idea that you're suggesting is illegal, we won't be able to accept the application. So just to make you aware of that, we can't endorse that sort of activity. So once we've screened all of those applications, we will be allocating them out to external judges. And we've got quite a big pool of industry judges. So we'll also be trying as best we can to match up applications with sector judges. So can you help me with stage 2? Because I can't see it fully.
Yeah, of course. So we're just saying with stage 2, all the applicants will get allocated 3 judges, at least 3 judges that will have that relevance in your industry. So you're going to have your idea judged by someone who will be aware of the space that you're operating in. What the judges will do, they'll look at your application and then they'll also score it. So they'll look at the different questions you've been asked and they'll look at your answers and they'll be able to score that. Once that scoring has been done and you get your feedback and the scores have been compiled, once the scores have been compiled, you can actually get your feedback after that. So you might be interested, you might be unsuccessful, you might be successful, depending on what happens. But if you want to find out a bit more about some feedback from what the judges thought, that will also be available to you towards the end of the stage. We also average all of the scores so that it's fair, so we know that we're creating a fair judgment, so to speak, on the idea that you've submitted, and then we will look at shortlisting those who will be invited to the next stage.
I think usually what happens is that feedback will come at some point in some point towards the end of January. So the next stage is that on the 21st of December, we'll announce the shortlisted teams, and those teams will join us for the boot camp on the 14th of January. Now, the boot camp is a start of the training, but it's also the final stage of judging. So not everybody that comes to the boot camp will be going on to the full program. It gives us an opportunity to meet all the teams that we've shortlisted and to have that final decision about who should go through to the final program. And then, actually, I think that's the final stage I was a way to go on to. If you could just, because I can't see the full text.
Yeah, absolutely. So the final stage is when we will announce those who will be invited to actually participate in the programme. So once you've been through to the boot camp will obviously allow for us to do some further shortlisting. The group of judges will be able to judge how things go at the boot camp, and then we'll be able to create that shortlist. So we will let you know who is actually going to be taken onto the programme. The announcement will probably be late January. So I think we've got there the 18th of January. So that's a few days before the first live workshop. So obviously I know there's going to be some time, not much time between the two, but just keep your eyes and ears peeled for that announcement, and you never know, it might be yourselves coming along.
Thank you. So just those dates all in one place. So application phase is open at the moment. It closes on Sunday, the 11th of December. Then there'll be a review to make sure all the applications are okay. They'll go out to judges and the shortlisting will happen. And there'll be an announcement of the shortlisted teams on the 21st of December, so that you know that you'll be joining us for the boot camp on the 14th. And then after the boot camp, we should be looking to announce the finalists, the people who are going on the programme, around the 18th of January, so that you're ready for the programme starting on the 23rd. So, are there any other questions that you would like to ask us? And I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see everybody. Anything that cropped up whilst we're going through those points, or anything that you feel that we didn't cover?
May I ask, should there be references included?
We don't ask for references, but if you wanted to include a reference, for example, if you have been working on something with somebody and I don't know, maybe they're not part of your team, but they could give some insight. They might be, for example, a future customer. That would come into the evidence section. I don't know if you're thinking of that as a sort of reference, or what were you thinking of?
No, I think something like in support of some argument for the viability, or why it's required, why it's needed, why it's a problem.
So rather than a reference, we would be looking for you to supply evidence for that. But I guess what you
kind
might
of evidence?
So what you might be saying is you're thinking of maybe a quote from somebody rather than a reference, maybe. That somebody might say, I have this problem and this is how it affects me. Or you might be looking at some secondary information, some news items or reports or that sort of thing. If you can include some reports that show that this is a problem, or a news item that's showing that it's a problem, that sort of information.
That's what I mean, more like news.
Okay, yes. We are looking for that sort of thing, yes.
Okay. Because I don't have, if it's required to be written interviews with potential customers, that's what I don't have. However, definitely I can supply evidence that it's a problem.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
Okay.
But some quotes from people is just a bonus if you have that sort of thing. If you don't have that sort of thing, yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was going to ask, I noticed I was around during the grand finale for the last seasons, for the last season competition. So I noticed there weren't much tech companies there, like tech ideas basically. So I'm wondering, is there any sort of preference given to any particular categories of business, or is tech not really much considered?
So you said did you say there were a lot of tech or no tech? I didn't quite catch that.
Okay, yeah. I said there was quite a very few tech ideas for the last season that made it to the finals. So I was asking, is there like any particular business category that is considered in preference to some other business categories, or is it that tech ideas don't really fare well in the program?
No, we're completely open. Tech ideas, I mean, one of the advantages of a tech idea is it's much easier to show how you'd scale a tech idea than a lot of other ideas.
Okay.
So in terms of scalability, tech ideas, you can usually do really well on that sort of scoring. In all probability, what we saw last year were just the selection of people who applied, and we'll be judging them on the same questions regardless of the type of business that it is.
Okay.
Yes, you had another question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I remember, what is the protection of intellectual property provided?
Well, so it depends what exactly it is that you have got that you want to protect, because quite often at early stage ideas, there's nothing really at that stage that you can protect. So we have an intellectual property specialist who's part of the team, Graham, who isn't with us today, but he's around and can help you with protecting your intellectual property, but you actually need to be able to identify some actual intellectual property. If you've already gone through that process, we'd need to have a look at what that is so that we made sure we supported you in protecting it. But if ideas are pre-intellectual property stage, if they're still at quite a generic level, then we do expect people to be able to talk about what it is that they're doing whilst understanding how to protect their own intellectual property.
It's mainly the financial side, I suppose. It's
so you're talking about the commercial side of things.
Yeah.
Again, we wouldn't in public ask you to go into detail about your commerciality. We often workshop things, and it's up to you to understand how much detail you want to provide in those sessions. It's good to provide something because you're needing to work through some ideas. But obviously, if you don't want to go in depth into the commercial secrets of your business, then you need to hold back on some of that detail.
Yeah, for the application, for example, if we need to show evidence that it's what you were saying, that it's feasible and it will be creating, generating income. That's what I'm like worried.
We've asked you to say how it would generate income. We haven't asked you to supply figures, specific figures for anything that you've already generated, unless it's over the 100,000. And we haven't asked, and we're not asking for financial projections either. We're just asking you to tell us about how you think, what income streams there'll be and how it will make money. Does that make sense? Is that okay?
Yeah, because it's not really business actually what I have in mind. It's social enterprise, which is not really so much for profit, but it's just
Okay, so in the case of a social enterprise, what we're would be asking for you from you then is, how does it make money? How does it cover its costs? And often with a social enterprise, rather than calling it a profit, what they often call it is a surplus. And what would you be looking to employ that surplus to do?
Okay.
And how are you going to make an impact for your social enterprise, and what's the impact that you're trying to make? We'd be looking for those things.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Freedom.
Okay, yeah, so sorry. One last thing, please. As regards the equity free funding, so I wanted to ask, so you said just £2,000 equity free funding. Is that okay? That comes from the RGU innovation team, right? So anything else above that could come from maybe other private funds and private sources aside RGU? So,
yes, because RGU won't be a shareholder in your business, so you get that money for free effectively. So then once you've launched your business, it's entirely up to you how you go about raising additional funds from investment. A lot of our teams will enter into further funding competitions after the accelerator program, and they have been quite successful in doing that. They might also look for further investment from all sorts of sources: family, friends, investors, crowd funding, all sorts of other sources of funding.
Okay, just to clarify that, regards the funding during the program, at any point in the program, are we expecting maybe VCs to show up for the program to look at what persons are showcasing?
We invite potential investors to that final showcase, and we may also, I don't know if we're going to do it this year, but we've had a meet the investor section on some previous occasions, which has been separate from that final piece. But I don't know if that's going to be a feature this year. But we definitely had people at the showcase last year that were in that position of looking for potential opportunities to invest in.
Okay. Thank you.
We are coming up to time to finish. It's nearly 2 o'clock. Any other questions before we go? I'm going to take that as a no.
My apologies for just coming in now. I think I messed up the time. Is there another session happening next week?
Yes.
Okay.
There is one more happening. I think we've got one next. Is it either next week or the week after? I think it's the first week of December. There might be one last session. So just have a look on our events on the website. But I can take a note of your email address. If you send it to me in the chat, I can take a note of the email address. I can send you the link.
And also, we're recording this session, so I think the recording is going to be available afterwards.
Okay, yeah, that can work. I don't know, where would it be?
I will send you a link.
Okay, I'll just send you my email now. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Okay, well, thank you for coming along and good luck with your applications. And we look forward to reading them.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Much. Bye bye.